Welcome back to the John Fredericks Radio Network, your Godzilla of the truth in Virginia. You want the truth, keep it right here. Gibberish and nonsense got to go somewhere else. We're trucking the truth every single day. Put your big boy pants on because I've got Dr. Schipper coming up. Dr. Bill Schipper, the owner and the founder and the director of American College for Commerce and Technology, one of the now leading schools in Virginia, and being able to provide students with an opportunity for a fabulous education and jobs in the job market. It's a 4-year degree school, but the thing about it is affordable, so it's bucking the trend of other universities in the country. How does Dr. Schipper do it? We're going to find out, and we are with him live. Joining me now here on the John Fredericks Show, Dr. Bill Schipper, the founder, the owner, and the director of the American College for Commerce and Technology here in Falls Church, Virginia. Dr. Schipper, great to have you with us, man.
Thank you, John. It's nice to have you back. It's nice to be here. Always appreciate being on your show.
Now, listen, I want to go right to educational value. I spent the last 3 days in Manhattan covering the New York primary in New York City. And Dr. Schipper, I can't tell you the number of people who I talked to that told me that the number one concern they had is the astronomical cost of undergraduate education. I had, in fact, one woman who was a social worker told me that her son just graduated from college, the New School of Social Research, with an undergraduate degree, and his student debt, get this is going to blow your mind, is $150,000. Now, she was saying to me that he'll never pay this back. I mean, and this is just one of many people that I have talked with. You've been able to put an unbelievable educational program together at ACCT, which no one has been able to really replicate that I've seen. How have you been able to do that so economically? And with this, people incurring so much debt, what is the long-term ramifications for people going to college with all this debt?
Well, there's a lot of ramifications. One is it puts the nation in jeopardy. The nation funds that student debt, which is over $1 trillion in default, and if it keeps going by itself, student debt by itself can sink the economy of the United States. So it has enormous consequences nationally. Obviously, it has enormous consequences for the families and the individuals who thought that they could borrow money, go to school, and somehow pay this thing back, and we realize they cannot. And their only way out is to go bankruptcy or forfeit the loan, and that ruins their life right there. And the other part of it is we're not sure that they got anything of value, job skill-wise, for that money. Many of these kids did not develop the social skills, the soft skills, the technical skills, the work skills that employers want to help employers succeed in the marketplace, and so they go on low payment jobs or even unemployment, or have to go to other technical training or higher degree training to fill the gap of their skill deficiencies. So it's huge. It's very huge. It's a national scandal, and I don't know why people continue to tolerate it.
Well, Dr. Schipper, it is a national scandal, and when you say that, one of the things that you do at ACCT is focus on some of these soft skills, but basically your entire undergraduate degree program is designed to get people great paying jobs the day they come out. Now, I can talk from personal experience because I've had the honor to be your commencement speaker. So this past August, I talked to a couple hundred graduates coming out. Every one of them had a job lined up either the next week, the next day. Some of them had already started. There was not a single graduate that I talked to on commencement day that didn't have work, and these were good paying jobs, career opportunities. So how do you come up with like where to find these and where to get the curriculum for it? Because on the other side of the scale, like you were saying, we're getting $150,000 in debt from an undergraduate school, and then they're staying at home with mom and dad.
Well, we just go around the mulberry bush. The problem with higher education is it doesn't have its focus. It's not specifically clear as to its purpose. We know historically it's a place for kids to grow up between the ages of 17, 18 to 20, 21, 22. It's a place to grow up, hopefully to latch on to something of interest where they can pursue a career professionally, and then probably enter that profession and move on. In the process, too many of our schools are not teaching. They're not teaching the rigor and the attitude and the grit that's required for workers to be successful in the marketplace. And employers across the country, the biggest complaint of employers, common denominator complaint, is they can't find good workers. And I'm talking about people who are college graduates or whatever. They cannot find people that meet the demands of the workplace. So there's a mismatch between higher education and employment and business survival. And we've gotten away with it for a long time, but I don't think the country can get away with it for too much longer before, the walls come tumbling down.
And one of the things that you mentioned that I think is fascinating as far as education is concerned, a couple of things that you're doing very differently than any other colleges or universities that I've seen. Number one is your focus on attendance. You were telling me earlier, Dr. Schipper, that university-wide, you've got a policy where if you miss 2 consecutive classes in any class, you're out of that class, just out. Doesn't matter what it is, you're out. And you were saying that part of it is to make kids understand how important it is to attend, or if the class is online, actually show up for that online class whenever it is. And you said the second thing is you're instilling a level of accountability that is going to come into play when they get out in the job market.
Well, we have a policy of if you miss the first 2 classes in a row of the first 2 classes of the quarter, we drop you automatically from that class. We have an 11-week schedule. Classes meet 1 time a week for 11 weeks. If we miss the first 2, we drop you. And that has serious consequences for the enrollment status of kids, a lot of which are, in our school anyway, are F1 international students. It jeopardizes their F1 status. Otherwise, if a kid misses any 4 of the 11 classes, they will flunk the class. They may attend the first 2 but miss any 4 others. We have a policy, if you miss 4, your grade will automatically become an F and you must repeat that class. And these are because we want every kid to complete every assignment correctly for every class that we teach. And we believe that that rigor will yield to more competitively employable people and to the skill sets that employers want.
Now, Dr. Schipper, you were telling us earlier about one other thing that you do that is, I think, groundbreaking, which is you make a student in a class redo an assignment until it's done properly, where traditional thinking is you do an assignment. If it's not done the right way, maybe you get a D or a C minus, that's it, you move on to something else. Your university-wide philosophy is no, that D is unacceptable. You have to keep doing the assignment or the project until it's done the right way, because what you were saying is that's the way the world works.
I think that's our brand. This is not easily understood by a lot of our own teachers. It's not easily understood by educators throughout. But the simple notion is, if we ask the student to learn a topic or complete a task, we want that task to be completed appropriately, properly, or according to specifications of the teacher. Now, one of the fundamentals beliefs that I have, and I think it's probably universal, is I don't believe anybody does anything 100% right the first time they do it. Anything. I believe that one of the arts and crafts is to take whatever we're doing and edit it, shape it, clean it, revise it, and so forth until we get it to be at a satisfactory level. What we want as a standard in our classes is if the assignment does not match exactly what the teacher wants, the teacher will simply say, redo it, resubmit it, and keep resubmitting it until it does match what the teacher wants. And at that point, it becomes a final document and it'll be submitted into the student's portfolio, which is a compilation of all work the student does during the period of the class.
Now, I'm sure you're at college professionals, directors, symposiums, and things like this, I'm sure, where you have shared your educational university philosophy with others in the business. Obviously, they're not adopting it. Why?
Well, when I talk to parents, I talk to people in business, and I just talk to adults. They understand what I'm talking about, and they like it. They ponder it, and they say, that makes sense. That's what a school's supposed to do. When you talk to educators, however, who've been brought up in a system that's contrary to what I'm talking about, they've been brought up as students, and then they've been teaching as teachers the way they were brought up, they have a very hard time understanding or making the transition to what I'm talking about. They want to resist it. But if I stay with them long enough in a meeting, and I do stay with them long enough in meetings, eventually and gradually they understand the philosophy and the purpose of what we're talking about. And the purpose is for teachers to teach and students to learn. It is not for teachers to see if students learn. It is for teachers to teach and get the student to learn what the teacher wants the student to learn.
And at the end of the day, that's what the employer wants, isn't it?
Well, at the end of the day, that's what our job is. To me, it's very simple. You put a product out, the product is learning. I'm going to teach you something. I'm not going to be satisfied if I don't get you to do what I want you to do. I'm going to be satisfied only if I get you to do what I want you to do, because in advance we've believed that the assignments we've selected have a purpose that take you to the expected learning outcomes of a particular course.
I tell you what, that is really fascinating. Now, this is the John Fredericks Radio Network across Virginia. We're with Dr. Bill Schipper. He is the founder and the director of the American College for Commerce and Technology in Falls Church, Virginia. It is becoming a nationally renowned school, doing things a different way, providing a 4-year university education in a manner where you're not saddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and you're getting jobs immediately. It was what college was supposed to be. So it's almost like we've come a full circle, and Dr. Schipper has been able to do that. So, Doc, just let me ask you this. A lot of the things you're doing outside of the box are obviously working because your school started and now it's got 1,300 students. You've got 60 professors employed. When you first get a professor and you're explaining to them your philosophy, which is quite different, as you said, from what they've experienced or what they've done, what is the first reaction?
The first reaction is nobody does that. Well, how do you grade? How do you grade if they have to do it 3 or 4 times, they finally get it perfect? What grade do I give them? And the reactions, in my view, are naive. They're not thought out. And it just shows the roboticism of how people teach and grade in educational system in America.
Now, there's been a lot of talk, Dr. Schipper, that in college campuses today, that some of the philosophy has been that you want to be sure that your students have what they call a safe place, or that they're not socially intimidated by things. And that's been something that a lot of people have been talking about recently. But in talking to your students at ACCT, whenever I come up here, that just doesn't seem to be an issue. It just seems like people are coming to the school, they want to learn, they want to get educated, and they're looking forward to something good happening afterwards. Have you been able to instill that culture within the school? Because, sometimes when students come in, things take mind onto their own. How have you been able to instill just a culture of almost business-like accountability?
Well, I think first, for the most part, not 100%, but for the most part, our students are very bright. Most of our students, 90% of them, are from international countries. They've left their home country. They've left their country with a bachelor's degree, usually, coming here to get a better life, a master's degree. They are motivated for a professional career. And I think they just connect to a place where the teachers and the system is geared to connect to that motivation and drive them forward to develop the technical skills and the other skills that will lead to employment. I think we treat our kids professionally, and I think they respond to that and they respect that. There obviously are folks who want the easy way out. There are folks who want the easy way out in all walks of life. Those are the challenges that schools face. We have to identify their motivation, we identify their attendance, we identify their work production, and those who are deficient, we contact them, notify them that we're watching them, you're placed on probation, you got to do better, and we try to guide you in the right direction and instill our form of motivation for the kid. Many of ours do not make it. We wind up expelling some number of students every quarter. I think last quarter we terminated 33 students for non-performance.
Wow.
It's unfortunate for their families and for the student. They just didn't make it. But that's the percent that probably makes the rule. Most of our kids we're very, very happy with, highly motivated, very bright. We're surprised at how bright these kids are and how fast they pick up on the learning.
I tell you what, some of the success you've had here is unbelievable, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. You're breaking new ground in education, no question. We've only got a couple more minutes in this segment, Dr. Schipper. Could you outline to our listeners what is your vision for American College in Commerce and Technology? I know you're opening up a school in California now, but do you see this new philosophy and your university in particular expanding? What's your overall vision?
Well, I'm sorry to say I don't have a very large overall vision. The one vision I have is to maintain or control size where everything is manageable and we have the infrastructure to handle the size of our student body. We have the quality of faculty to do our teaching, and we have experienced staffers to make sure everything is done well and done right. I want to have a program that graduates people with the confidence and the skills to enter professional careers. And that's really the bottom line. I want each and every student who goes through here to develop the confidence, mainly the confidence and the skills to apply for and gain professional employment and therefore make the world a better place, one student at a time. In terms of growth, we have a lot of folks who are interested in our school, want to model it, copy it, replan it in different places. What I look for are motivated folks who understand our brand and are willing to put energy into repeating the brand that we have. And that's very narrow and short-sighted at the moment, but that's what I have.
All right, that's going to end our time today with Dr. William Schipper. He is the founder and the director of the American College for Commerce and Technology, changing education as we know it in the United States, one student at a time, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. And I want to thank Dr. Schipper for being with us today. Doc, it's always fabulous to have you on. It's always exciting for me to come up to ACCT. It's so invigorating because you're blazing a new trail and you've got the answers to a lot of questions that people have for me, which is, what is the future of education in the United States? It might be right here in Falls Church, Virginia. Dr. Schipper, thanks for being with us, sir.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate it.